Hello, everybody. Welcome to our first episode of Skin Type Talks, where our goal is to discuss skin type challenges and how to combat them. My name is Lauren Suarez, and I'll be hosting this episode alongside my co-host, Jules Ferrero. You'll be hearing more from her in just a second. And joining us today is Dr. Leslie Bauman, dermatologist, best-selling author, and creator of the Bauman skin typing system. We also have two guests, Maria and Eleni, who have been using the Skin Type Solution System for more than a year now with great success. I'd like to go ahead and open our discussion with Jules. Tell us a little more about yourself and your Bauman skin type.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. So I'm originally from Venezuela, but I lived in the States for almost 15 years now. My Bauman skin type is number 7, so I'm oily, sensitive, pigmented, and wrinkle-prone. My sensitivity is acne. And Lauren, I think we have the same skin type, but different sensitivities, right?
Yes. So that was actually one of the first things we bonded on, like when we
I
first
remember.
met. So yeah, we have the same skin type, OSPW. I just have an additional sensitivity. So I also have rosacea along with acne, which has been tricky for sure. But I've been using my regimen for like nearly 3 years now, and my skin is clearer and calmer than ever, which is amazing. That brings us to our next guest, Maria. Tell us a little more about your skin and your skin challenges.
Okay, hi, thank you for having me. My name is Maria. I am a DSPW3 with my sensitivity being acne. I started using it over a year ago and I couldn't be happier.
Amazing. And what was like your biggest challenge before getting skin typed, and what have you seen like the most difference in your skin?
Well, my biggest challenge is I definitely didn't have a routine. And I'm very grateful to an amazing friend that I have that introduced me to this. I didn't do anything and I do work at night, so I feel like my skin was just depleted of everything. So it was dry. I was full of acne, especially on my cheek area and my forehead. And ever since starting, I mean, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new face. It's a whole new person. Um, I do it day and night. I don't
That's
skip a
amazing.
step. I love it. I'm so vocal about it. I speak to everybody about it. I just go for it. I think it's crucial to have that. And yes, I'm young in a sense, but at the same time, we need to get going. We don't want to be playing catch up in the upcoming years if we can do so now. And we're so thankful to Dr. Bauman to have developed all of this to just kind of get out of the realm of oily, dry, just dark, just those 3 little boxes you
Absolutely.
can explore.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And it's been wonderful to be a part of this.
Your before and afters have been absolutely amazing. The next guest, Eleni, tell us a little more about your skin type and a little more about yourself. Your before
So,
and afters have also been incredible.
thank you. So, I am also a DSPW, like Maria. So, I'm skin type 3, but my sensitivity is rosacea. Even though currently I think my sensitivity has changed a bit, more towards acne. I think my skin, I've always had a love for skincare. I've always felt very passionate about having a good skincare routine. My mother-in-law is a dermatologist, and she really started a conversation with me about that. But actually, the first dermatology clinic that I went to here when I moved to the United States was Dr. Bauman, when they were in Mercy Hospital.
Oh my
So
Oh, wow.
I've had a history,
That's
and
amazing.
ever since I kind of stopped hormonal birth control, like a year and a half ago, I've had like challenges with my skin. And really, the turning point for me was when I started using like skincare that was made for my skin type and consulting with a dermatologist at Bauman Dermatology was when I really started finally shifting, and all the concerns that I was having because of stopping birth control have really subsided substantially.
That's amazing. That's so fantastic.
For sure.
I'd love to turn it over to Dr. Bauman so she could answer your questions.
So the reason I wanted to do the skin type talk today is to really illustrate how different each skin type is. So what's interesting is Jules and Lauren are both OSPWs, and me and Maria and Helene are all I'm a DSNW, they're DSPWs. So that means that we all need very different skincare. So everybody on this call needs different skincare from each other, which is so interesting. So the first thing I want to tell the viewers so they don't get confused is there are 4 kinds of sensitivity, and they're all based on inflammation. And you can have more than one of these kinds. So there's acne, which is pimples, rosacea, which is redness, stinging, which is when you put things on and they sting. And then the 4th one is more of a susceptibility to irritants and allergens. So you could have all 4 of those and then you're very, very, very sensitive, or you might just have one. So what's interesting is Jules and Maria mostly have acne, and Lauren and Helene mostly have both acne and redness. I actually have all 4, which is one of the reasons I did the skin typing system. I get pimples, redness, stinging, burning, and I'm allergic to so much stuff. So all of us have very different skin types. So I want to tell you, I'm going to show you this by asking questions. And this is all on the fly. This is not anything that we planned ahead of time or practiced, because I want to show you how different everyone is. So Maria, with your acne, you're a dry type, so you're going to have a different experience with your acne than Jules is going to have. Right. Tell me what happened to you when you used acne products in the past. And what kinds of bad things happened?
1, my skin dried out even more. And 2, I feel like my acne just kind of inflamed even worse. And if and when it would go away, it would subside, it would just stay as a scar. It wouldn't really just go away. And I had the bad habit of picking. We're not going to do that. But it just didn't go the right way. I don't think, clearly I wasn't using the right products for my face. And ever since starting, I do get my occasional hormonal monthly 1 or 2, but they go away and they do so in a nice, adequate, timely manner. Nothing like before.
And when you say it left a scar, it left a dark mark on your skin, yes. Right?
And it would come that's back what she's called in the same place.
Pigment.
Right. So that's what she's called a pigmented type. That means uneven pigment. So she has dryness, sensitivity, which is acne, uneven pigment, and then tendency to wrinkle, because we all need to be on anti-aging once we're 30 or older, sometimes even younger. Mm-hmm. So some of those acne products that you use, did any of them have benzoyl peroxide, like Proactive or Clean and Clear or Oxy? Did you try those?
All of those. All of the above.
And what that and that those just were miserable for you, right?
Miserable.
Right. Now, Jules, what about you? Have you ever tried any of those benzoyl peroxide products?
Yes. So I've generally, like, in general, I've had pretty good skin, but with acne, especially during that time of the month or like a week before. But I tried toothpaste, like over-the-counter things that were so terrible, right? I've done everything. And
we've all been there.
It's funny. I know, yeah. And then obviously picking my pimples, so then the same thing would happen, where it would go away, but then it would come back in the same spot, and I would have like a crater on my face, and then I would have hyperpigmentation. So it was like a whole chain reaction. But what would happen, my skin would be oily, but then that spot would be extremely dry and super inflamed. Now, what I do, obviously, I still use strong products that prevent my breakouts, but whenever I have active breakouts, I'm more, I wouldn't say more aggressive, but just use more retinol or use my salicylic acid cleanser twice a day instead of once a day. But I make sure to moisturize to prevent any further irritation. But I think because I'm pretty oily, I always joke about this, but one day Eleni and I went out to dinner, and it's here in Miami, so it's humid, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love the highlighter that you're using. What are you using?" Oil? And I was like, "It's just my oil." So it's interesting how that happens. So it's just a matter of not using the correct products.
Yeah. So what's interesting about the difference between Jules and Maria's skin is Jules makes sebum or oil, and that gives her a protective coating on her skin. It gives her the shine. It makes her more likely to have large pores, but it protects her skin from irritating things. So Jules can handle benzoyl peroxide a lot better than Maria can. So you heard her say she used it would clear her up, but where she'd put the toothpaste and the other acne spot treatment, she would be dry there. If Maria used those same products, she would be miserable and peeling and red and raw. So that most people think that acne is linked to oily skin. And sure, oily skin plays a role, but actually studies show that the amount of oil you produce isn't what I mean. People who have more acne don't make more oil. So you can be dry and you can have acne. So people who have dry skin and acne, like Maria, need very, very different products than people who have acne, like Jules. And this is the biggest problem: is you'll have a brand, people will go, "Oh, this is a great acne brand," you know. But it isn't right for everybody. It's probably made for someone like Jules because that's what people think when they think acne. But it's certainly not going to be made for Helene for sure. We're going to get to you next because your skin type's a little harder. But for Lauren, so Lauren normally would probably do well with the same products as Jules, except for the fact that she has this other sensitivity of rosacea.
Yep.
So tell us what happens when you use acne products. And let's talk about benzoyl peroxide specifically, because that's the most commonly used acne product.
Okay, so my skin cannot tolerate benzoyl peroxide at all. It gets very, very upset. The moment that gets on my face, it starts getting red, inflamed. I get peeling. I think it's almost the same reaction as what would happen to Maria, but with like the additional rosacea sensitivity, like it just like it increases it even more. So yeah, no, I can't use those products at all.
Does it make you sting too?
Yeah, it'll make me itchy, like it'll make me itchy
Mm-hmm.
and peeling, and it's like raw. It gets raw. It's awful. It's a very uncomfortable feeling.
Have you ever thought you might be allergic to benzoyl peroxide?
Honestly,
Did you ever think?
yes. I think I must be because anytime I ever used it, it just made my acne worse. It never helped it. It never took it away. And it would always leave like pigment after as well, which is something that I struggle with.
So the reason I wanted to bring that up is a lot of people think they're allergic to either retinols or benzoyl peroxide, but it's not actually an allergy. It's something called an irritant reaction. And the difference is when you're allergic to something, you have antibodies. You have IgE antibodies pre-made in your body that recognize it and cause a reaction. And every single time you get exposed to that thing, you're going to have an allergic reaction. An irritant is different. An irritant is something that's caustic or irritates the skin, and it has more to do with the dose and how much you use. So that means if we gave Lauren a very, very low dose of benzoyl peroxide and the right moisturizers, she's going to be able to handle it because it's not an allergy. So a lot of times people will come in to me and say, I'm allergic to retinol, but they're not. It's that they weren't using the right product. So that's why with Lauren's regimen, we can handle her acne and get her on anti-acne meds as long as we have her on the right moisturizer and the right cleanser to calm her inflammation and help her handle it. Yep. So although the right moisturizer and cleanser always matter, it matters most to Lauren. So by the way, Jules said that she uses salicylic acid cleanser twice a day, which is wonderful for her skin. But somebody like Maria or Helene, they wouldn't be able to do that. That would be too drying for them. What about you, Lauren? Are you able to use twice a day?
Absolutely not. No, I actually treat my skin like a DSPW, which is funny because I use retinol almost 4 times a week. So I just like to slather on as much moisturizer as possible. So I'm always producing a lot of oil, but I just want to stay like as oily as possible at the same time. So
But it's because you're extremely sensitive,
exactly.
which makes sense.
Yeah, and that's another thing that like a lot of people don't realize. Even though you have oily skin, you still need to moisturize your skin, and people avoid it because they think they're gonna break out. And I used to think that all of the time as well, which to your point, Dr. B, with benzoyl peroxide, for example, if you're not using a moisturizer in conjunction with that, it's going to be very, very irritating.
And I'll teach you another trick. If you're using a hyaluronic acid serum or moisturizer, that makes things penetrate more. So you're going to get even more of a problem with your benzoyl peroxide and your retinoid. So That's why every product matters in your regimen. Okay, now we're going to go to Eleni. You have skin type a little. You and I have the hardest here.
It feels that way, honestly.
Yeah. The difference between you and me is you get a little brown spot when you get irritated, and I don't. But besides that, we're the same. So tell everyone how hard it is to have our skin type, and like, would you ever take a free sample given to you in a department store or Sephora? Would you use it?
Well, it's interesting because before I would. I once had like a 15-step skincare routine. I was like wild about
Wait, wait, wait.
Sephora.
15
Oh my
steps?
gosh.
I was
No,
like
Is
Dr.
influencer
Bauman, she was
things.
a skincare junkie.
I was all about like I went to Sephora daily. It was
Oh gosh.
wild. But
Yeah.
then the minute I went off birth control, everything changed, and that was the first time that I started the quiz that Jules introduced me to skin type solutions. And I took the quiz and realized that I was all of these things. And so when they're talking about like benzoyl peroxide, like I can barely handle salicylic acid like once a week. Like I have rosacea, I have eczema. Um, I'm highly pigmented. I get like cystic acne all over. I can only do retinol like twice a week, maybe. I've been trying for like about 2 years to go up like to every other day or even like every 2 days, and it's just been absolutely impossible. There's been times where I have to ice my face at how irritated I get if I try to do like a retinol at night and then like a salicylic cleanser in the morning. It's
Oof.
it's wild.
Yeah.
And are you using the Xerophyte cleanser and moisturizer? Because that should help you.
I do, yes. So I exclusively use that most every night. Every so often, like because I'll use like retinol one night and then like 2 days later, I'll use like the glycolic cleanser, the glycolics
The soapy one.
10%. Yeah, that's like the only acid I have in my routine is that cleanser, and I'll use it like once or twice a week. But
Yeah.
other than that, it's just Cerophyte, the eye cream, the moisturizer, power oil, and then sometimes retinol when I'm able to handle it.
And what strength retinol are you using?
I am on a prescription currently because I went through the spectrum of
Oh.
Retin-A. I tried the Skin Medica one. I tried the Skin Ceutical ones. Currently, I'm on Aroslo.
Oh, I'm on a Reslo
Right.
too. I'm really liking it.
Okay. I love Arezzo, but it has hyaluronic acid in it, so it's getting more in your skin. Are you putting your Arezzo on top of your Xerophyte moisturizer?
Yeah.
So maybe you need to use a little less because you're using a strong retinoid that really gets in your skin, and me, Maria, and Helene have dry skin, and that means we have little holes in our skin that lets water get evaporate off and lets things get in. So your retinoid gets in better than Jules and Lauren's retinoid gets in. So you just need to cut your dose a little bit, and you're doing it right by not using it every night. But the way you control it is how often you use it, how much you put on, and if you put it on over your moisturizer, and also what dose it is. So just by diluting it a little, that'll make a difference. But Helene has the four, and actually so does Maria, the four barriers to skin health. So the four things that we treat are dehydration, inflammation, uneven pigmentation, and aging. And the reason it matters is we have to treat the dehydration first because dehydration leads to inflammation. Inflammation causes pigment and wrinkles. So if you just go and get an anti-aging cream and start using it, you're actually going to age yourself more because you turn on that dehydration and that inflammation. So I'm a DSNW. I have the same issues. I am so sensitive that when I go to hotel rooms, I get a rash from the sheets.
Wow.
Once I gave a rosacea lecture and my face was so red from the hotel. It was embarrassing. The audience is like, "Oh, the poor thing. That's why she's lecturing on rosacea because she
Are you
has
allergic
it."
to like the feather down and pillows and stuff like
Oh.
that? Because I'm so
No, the
allergic.
detergent.
Oh
No,
yeah. Okay. Wow.
because hotels, especially during COVID, they put so much detergent. I finally learned to bring my own pillowcase to the hotel so that my face doesn't touch the sheets, and then I wear pajamas that cover like all my skin.
Wow.
But the thing is, in the skin type solutions, I test all the brands that are for dry, sensitive skin. So that's probably not the best idea because I'm the one who's going to get a rash or have acne or be broken out or sting. So sometimes if you see me and I look terrible, that's why, because I'm testing the products on myself. Because if I can use them, I know that Maria and Helene can use them because I'm so sensitive. Yeah. But I'm always trying everything out. So does anybody have any questions or things they don't understand about their skin and what baffles them? Like, I would love to know more about what those 15 products were that you were using, Helene. I mean, how do you even put 15 on? Did you double cleanse or how did all that work?
Triple
Korean
cleanse.
Oh my.
Oh,
triple
Korean
cleanse. Oh my God.
How long would
Like,
it take
I'd
you to
start
move
with-
to bed?
Oh, it would take me an hour, but my skincare time was like my me time. I would mask. I would triple cleanse. I'd mask like daily. It was either a hydrating mask or like a clean mask. Or back then I could tolerate like higher like chemical peels, so I'd do that. It was wild. But I did have a question when you mentioned using like moisturizer over the retinol, like under the retinol. Is there, I'd read somewhere, I think it was on some SkinCeuticals website actually, that you're supposed to wait 15 minutes between putting on the moisturizer and then using your retinol. And I asked Jules if she did that, and she's like, not at all. And I was like, oh, should I be doing that since I'm sensitive?
Yeah. It's a great question because when you put two products on your skin, they mix together and act like a third product. The way I explain it in lectures is if you put yellow and blue together, it makes green. So two products make one product. So if the products mixing together is a bad thing, you need to wait and let it soak in. But the way we design the regimens at Skin Type Solutions is every product helps the next product work better. So you don't need to wait because the whole magic of the Skin Type Solution is we've looked at every brand that's out there, tested them on all the different skin types, and put them in the order of the regimen that makes them work the best. And so that's why we even give you stickers like a step 1, a step 2, step 3 to put on the products because the order is critical. If you mix the order up, then you're not going to get the same results and the products aren't going to work as well. So one example is vitamin C. Vitamin C needs a low pH to get into the skin. And vitamin C serums are expensive, but you're wasting your money if your skin is not a low pH. And most cleansers raise the pH of your skin. So if you raise your pH of your skin with a cleanser to like an 8 or a 9, and then you put your vitamin C serum on, which needs a 2 or a 2.5 to get in the skin, it's not going to get in and you wasted your money. So that's why if you look at your regimens, everyone here has a acidic, a low pH cleanser in the morning. The oily people have a salicylic acid. The dry people have a glycolic acid. And those are lowering your pHs so that the next thing that you put on works better. So that's why you put your, Helene, if you're getting used to your retinoid and you can't use it every night, that's why you put it on top of your moisturizer because less gets in. Once you get to the point where you're using your Arazlo every night and you're not having any trouble, then you'll flip it and you'll put your moisturizer on top, which has the effect of pushing it into the skin, and which is called slugging. Yeah. So Jules and Lauren and I have been talking about slugging. All that is putting a heavy occlusive moisturizer on the top of the skin to push everything in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been testing this for 20 years. And the reason I asked about the free samples is I hate it when I would never use free samples. And I would never, I'm afraid to get a facial unless I know exactly what products they're putting on my skin because I am so sensitive. So a lot of times the DSNWs and the DSPWs, those which are me and Maria and Helene, we don't do well with free samples. We almost always get a rash from those.
I don't even try them. I'm like, okay, thank you. Or if I get like a gift of anything, I'm like, okay, thank you.
And just like I toss them most of the time these days. But I used to do like a 10-step skincare routine. Just like, I mean, Helene, like you took it to another level, but like, I mean, there were definitely nights where it was like 12, 13 steps. I mean, I was obsessed with like that whole Korean skincare method and and like all the trendy stuff. And I had a lot of chin breakouts. I mean, ever since I started my Bauman skin type, like this cleared up.
No, your acne has completely cleared. Yeah. I can vouch for that. Yeah. I remember the patches you used to wear.
I used to always go to work with like pimple patches on because I was always trying new products. This just takes out all the guesswork completely.
What most people don't realize is acne is an 8-week cycle. So what you put on your skin today is really affecting it 8 weeks down the road. So the biggest mistake I see in my practice is when people, they use their regimen, their skin clears up, their acne goes away, and then they stop using their products. And they can coast usually about 8 weeks. Then they come in and they think whatever they just did, like they'll say, well, I had bananas last night and now I have acne. Well, it isn't the bananas, it's the fact that you quit using your acne medicine 8 weeks ago. So that's the biggest problem with teens is teenagers, especially the boys, they quit using their medicines the minute they get better. So it's better to be on a routine constantly. And I tell my patients it's kind of like with weight loss. If you're going to go to a fancy weight loss spa 2-3 times a year, eat great and work out like crazy and then come home and eat horrible all the rest of the time, you're not going to have the same results as if you eat well every day and, try to have fruits and vegetables every day. Same thing with your skin. Your acne is going to be so much better if every single day you're targeting the issues that cause your acne, which could be bacteria, it could be stress and sugar, it could be dairy, it could be just inflammation and sometimes excess oil. There's all kinds of different things that are playing a role, but the consistency is the key, and that is why earlier I heard you say that you haven't had problems in a while. I think everybody here said that because everybody on this call has been on the right regimen at least a year, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been on it for like 10 years.
Yeah, I can't go back. Anytime I ever try like a new moisturizer other than Xeraphyte, my skin gets upset.
I think we've joked about this. I know I have with all of you separately. People see me and they're like, "Oh, you live in Miami, but you're so pale. Like, is it because you can't tan?" And I'm just like, "No, I just avoid the sun like the plague. Like, I don't let it limit me from doing things that I love. Like, if I like going to the beach, but if I go, I'm definitely wearing a hat. I'm staying on the shade. I'm wearing sunglasses." So they joke, "You're like a vampire." I'm like, well, yeah, if you want to see it that way, I guess.
She'll drive with her long sleeves. She does it all.
I'd love to, I hope I know you when you're my age and get to see how good you look.
Yes.
Seriously.
I'll tell you a little secret that most people don't realize, but I can get really, really tan. I did 1 year when I was 18. I have a picture to prove it.
Really?
And I'm a brunette. I dyed my hair red so people would quit telling me that I'm so pale. Now they think I can't tan.
Wait, I want to see that picture. That's crazy. I can't imagine you with a tan.
It's horrifying. But so many people were like, "Oh, you look terrible. You're washed out." And once I changed my hair color, they think I can't tan and they leave me alone about it.
That's so funny. No, they asked me, Dr. B. I traveled a couple last month to Mexico, and then the guy was like, not in a bad way. He was just like genuinely curious. He's like, "So do you avoid the sun because you have an issue? Like, what has happened to you in the past?" And I'm like, and I said, well, okay, in part it's because of vanity. I'm going to admit it, but it's also because of skin cancer, and I like to, I'm very aware of all the damage that the sun has on the skin. And so he's like, "Oh, okay," because I used to go to tanning beds, I used to lay out, I used to do all of those unheard of things.
So did I. I did that too, and I can't even believe it when I think about it now.
Now that I'm in shock that you guys went to tanning beds, I think our next topic, let's talk about aging and wrinkles and what to do about that on our next Skin Type Talks. And I would love to welcome the audience in the comments and let us know what your skin type is and if you want to be included in one of these Skin Type Talks in the future. Because it's so fun to see. After a while, you'll recognize the personalities of the skin type. Yeah. I know somebody's skin type by what they tell me about their skin, their past experiences, because they're all very common. So today we all had sensitive types, but if we had resistant people on the phone, on the call here, the resistant people would go, all skincare products are the same. They don't do anything. I can use anything. Their story is completely different from the stories that you're hearing today.
Can you imagine like being able to just tolerate anything? That would be a dream. I'm so jealous of the people that can tolerate all the strong stuff.
But it's not a dream because they can't get anything in their skin. They're so good at keeping stuff out of their skin that active ingredients don't really work on them. we have to try harder to get their ingredients in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a plus and a minus to everything in life, right? So at least with all of that, we're getting the ingredients in.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. This was so fun, and let's do it again. And maybe we'll talk about aging, or let me know in the comments what you guys want to hear about and learn about, and let us know what your skin type is.
Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you on the next Skin Type Talks episode.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Bye, girls.
Bye.